All right, good stuff, bro. Thanks so much for being on here. It's pronounced Jordans, right?
Yeah, Jordan. You know, people are Haitian. They added the S to the end for no reason,
Ah,
but it's all good.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not gonna be corny and say you know what, but
yeah,
much love to you and the Haitian community.
for sure.
So much love to all y'all. I'm out here in Miami, so even in Atlanta, there's a large Haitian community in Atlanta, not as big as Miami, obviously, or Fort Lauderdale rather,
Yeah.
but definitely still a lot of y'all can go ahead and say it in the comments. Say "sac passe," y'all know, show that love. All right, they said they can't hear you,
Oh,
Jordan.
is there feedback?
No, they said they can't hear
Okay.
you at
Can you?
all.
I just unmute. Is there feedback?
Yeah, just turn it all the way down, like not down to silent, but just turn it down low.
Oh,
But so far, there isn't any feed. I mean, maybe you're good.
okay.
Yeah, probably keep it up.
Yo, for everybody who is listening and you're thinking that you're interested in a career in tech sales, I suggest you check out Course Careers. Course Careers is a tech boot camp that you can do entirely from home. It's entirely virtual and it's self-paced. So that means you can knock it out in as early as 2 weeks or even take a few months if you need to. Now, the really cool thing about Course Careers is that they're actually partnered with multiple tech companies that are hiring their students right after finishing the program. The great thing about Course Careers is that with those partnerships, they're able to guarantee you jobs with some of their partner companies. Now, beyond that alone, the other cool thing we want to tell you about them is that Course Careers is actually only $500. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. But since we partner with Course Careers, they're offering our audience a discount of $50 off that already low price. So make sure you use our discount link that we have below. So that way you can take advantage of that $50 off that already low price. Do Course Careers at your own pace and let us know what job you end up getting from it.
All right, cool stuff. All right, everybody on Instagram, like, yeah, we can hear y'all. We're talking to LinkedIn and YouTube people because we're on different platforms right now. So thank y'all. Appreciate y'all over on LinkedIn and YouTube for letting us know. All right, good stuff, y'all. So we all go ahead and jump straight into it. So for everybody that's on LinkedIn and YouTube, just a quick heads up to y'all. We are only going to be answering questions from people on Instagram today. So if you have questions you want to ask, you can come on over to Instagram and you can put your question in the question box here. If not, if y'all just want to tune in and hear us answer questions and hear us talk about his story, it's still going to be valuable for you. But I at least wanted to give y'all a nice heads up. Also, I do see someone in the Patreon community that's here in the stream. Brandon, if at any point in time you have any questions or you even want to join and ask us something with a specific scenario, feel free, just put it in our private chat, and then we'll actually let you join in on the stream. So again, y'all, for anybody that's a part of the Patreon community, whenever we go live, not only are you able to submit questions, we prioritize your question, and also you can actually join in on the live and ask like actual detailed scenario types of questions and stuff. So just give you a heads up on that. That being said, bro, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. So first off, George, can you tell everybody like a little bit about like who you are before tech? Because a lot of people, we can talk about breaking into tech, but a lot of people have specific backgrounds. And you have a background of someone that I haven't done a live with before. That it's an industry that everybody talks about. Everyone talks about the finance industry, and then also, I mean, I know you have. I think you said you had a real estate background as well.
Mm-hmm.
And those are usually two industries, both finance and real estate, that people can make a lot of money in, but it's a lot, in my opinion, from what I've seen, it seems a lot more of a grind, and it seems like a lot less likely. It's possible, but a lot less likely in terms of the average person in that industry making a lot of money. And so, and not calling anybody average, but more so that the median income in certain industries aren't as high as a lot of people think. And so would love for you to talk about your background, whether finance, real estate, who you were, and what led you to getting into tech.
Yeah, so definitely, so my background, as soon as I graduated high school, I wanted to get in tech, but the teacher said, hey, you gotta be an engineer, you have to know math. And I'm like, dang, well, that's not me, that's not me. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I decided to get into money. So I decided, hey, and work at the bank, let me learn. I started off as a teller, then worked my way up through there. Banking life was cool, things that nature. But as you go through, kind of like what you hit like a grind point, right? You hit the grind point. So then I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to break off and do my own thing. So from there, you know, worked with financial firm, did life insurance, things of that nature. It was awesome. You know, I liked it. But once again, you hit another just grind mode, you know. It was cool. And then from there, I decided I wanted to get in real estate. So I purchased some properties. And then from there, that kind of made me I guess, an entrepreneur, right? I loved it. But then again, it got to a point where, yeah, you know, did I need to work? Not necessarily. But if I decided I wanted to add a family, do other things, I'm going to need a little bit more money than that. Yes, it's fine for me and myself, perfectly fine. But, you know, I want to be able to set a better foundation. So, okay, if I'm going to work, I want to get into something that's, you know, has a high career path to grow and help me, my thinking. Of course, I always wanted to do my own thing on top. So I said, hey, but first I have to learn before you earn, because the problem with what happens, especially in our community, everybody wants to be a boss, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes we jump into things not knowing how it works, how to properly learn, because they said, hey, you know, you shouldn't be working for the job, you should do it yourself. But then again, you're gonna get to the point, if you don't learn the right process, it's gonna be a grind again. So I said, hey, let me learn first. So one day, just cruising on YouTube, and I passed your interview with Anthony O'Neill. So you talked about breaking into tech. I was like, all right, let me see what this is about. So, you know, I did my research.
Shouts out to Anthony. Shouts out to AO.
Sure. So I did my research, and I was like, oh, okay, let me pay for it. You know, use the code, boom, paid for it. And then, you know, within 2 months, you know, I finished in like 2 weeks. But the problem is I moved too fast, right? I moved fast because I was like, oh, I have a sales background, I know what I'm doing. And then from there, I realized when I was interviewing at the beginning, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about, to be real. So then I had to go back and learn again, okay, how to interview better. That's the main thing. Course Career does teach you that, but sometimes, you know, we could rush through things, but focus on interviewing, you know. So I had to learn, and then I was very picky though. So it took me 2 months to find a role. That was because I said, hey, I'm not going to just jump into anything. I'm not, you know, desperate or things of that nature. But so I took my time to find a role, and then from there, I was able to hop on and take it from there for my first role. And then that's pretty much how I broke into tech.
So I want to pause real quick. Two things. One, I want to double down on something that you said, because a lot of people overlook that. What's up, Dana Chanel? Y'all, Dana Chanel just popped up in the comments to show some love. For those of y'all that don't have life insurance, make sure y'all check out Jack Life Insurance. I got the chance to meet her. Her hubby, Prince Donnell, recently at a tech event, actually, Gary Vee's tech event that happened a couple months ago. Amazing dude, amazing couple. They've done a lot just within the Black and brown community. So shouts out to Dana Chanel and her husband, Prince Donnell. Thanks for popping in, Dana. Definitely got to get you and your husband on the podcast at some point. Definitely got to make that happen. But anyway, so what you were just saying, Jordan. So I love that you touched on that, where you had mentioned how you sped through the boot camp. Like, you did your due diligence, you sped through it. And because you're very confident, confidence, of course, is incredibly important, but you sped through it. And in the midst of that, once you actually got out there and started landing interviews, which is dope that you were landing interviews, that says a lot, but you were landing interviews in the midst of the interviews. I think you were saying that, like, you realized, like, okay, wait, hold up. I got to pull back and maybe go over the course again, because a lot of people don't know that when you finish the course, you still have access to it. So, because it's self-paced. So I think that's really dope that you were able to go back to it, look at it again. What were some things you would say that when you went back to it and when you started working on your interview process, specifically maybe for like a tech sales role, what were some things that you gained during that allowed you to perform better when you started interviewing again?
Yeah, the main thing that I gained from that is like learning how to have a conversation, right? Because, you know, it's been years since I've been in, you know, interviewing, things of that nature. So I had to realize I know how to talk to people. It's having that conversation, right? Because when people get on interviews, right, they treat it like, oh, you know, I need, you know, I'm glad to be here. But it's like, whoa, first of all, it's a blessing to have me in your presence as well, too. You know, it's a two-way street. Let's be real. So I had to learn how to have a conversation, and then whatever language whatever industry you come from, how to use the metrics and turn it into tech. Yeah. That's the main thing. Whatever you did, you could be from any industry. You got to learn how to change that metric into tech. Like whether it's, you know, the amount, if you're at a role where you're calling people, hey, I called X amount of people, this is what I did, here's the result. You need to have what you did, the result, and how to get to it. That's the main thing I had to learn from going back to it. And then from there, it clicked for me, all came together.
Yeah, bro, that's fire, bro. That's really good, man. I hope y'all catch what he said, because I know even because the boot camp that he did is self-paced, a lot of people will rush through it. And I mean, including, I know if I had done that boot camp, I'm sure I would have done the same thing, especially, you know, you try to get this bag in tech. And so, but I love, that's a really good nugget that you were able to go back and learn, because unfortunately, there are other people where, I mean, y'all seen over 100 success stories of people breaking into tech, whether it's through one of the boot camps that I recommend or something else. And many times there are other people, the untold stories, where there are people that are doing these boot camps. Let's be real. There are people that are doing the boot camps that aren't breaking into tech. And many times what I've yet to see a person that didn't break into tech where I wasn't able to pinpoint some things that they were lacking or things that they weren't doing. And many times what he just mentioned is one of those key things where people are just doing the boot camp, trying to just hurry up and get the certification, hurry up and finish. And not saying that that's like the totality of what you were doing, Jordan. I'm just giving another example. But people like doing the program, and then they're like, they jump out there and they're like, man, how come I'm not getting a job? How come I'm not, you know, even landing interviews? Or how come, okay, I'm landing interviews, but I'm not getting to the second round or the third round, or I'm not getting anywhere? And it's like anything else, there's something in the process. And what I love about this whole even notion of getting into tech as well as working in tech is that it really kind of teaches you a lot about business, that you could have a great product, but if your marketing is bad, or if your sales are bad, or if something's wrong with your systems and processes, your SOPs, you know, if something's wrong with, in terms of like your, you know, how your team feels and them not wanting to work hard because they don't feel appreciated, you could have an unsuccessful business even though you have a great product. So likewise, what I've been noticing is that even though, like, because we do our best with tech, because we like to like recommend like really good boot camps and programs, but it's like there's usually, the reason why we do these lives and we bring on like dope people like Jordan's is because they're able to help some of y'all pinpoint something that might be wrong in your system and process when it comes to breaking into tech. So it's really important that y'all pay attention, you know, especially those of y'all that have done a boot camp and aren't in tech yet. Like, listen, pay attention, be like, okay, what is something that he's saying that I'm not doing, or something he mentioned that I resonate with, and I'm able to take that and I'm able to implement that and then have the success he did. Because likewise, he technically was a failure until he pinpointed where his mistakes and shortcomings were, pulled back, readjusted, and then had success. I'm talking way too long. I'm gonna blame it on the drink. So let me pull back and let Jordan talk some more, because y'all ain't come on here to hear me. I came on here to hear him. So, but bro, please continue to rap. You dropping some good nuggets though.
Yeah, no. So, you know, one thing for me though, like once I broke into tech, I said I want to learn and actually add value. So this is the thing, you know, it's not only just breaking into tech, but seeing how you can create something within the company that you're at already. If you see something that's not already there, how you can create that and add that on. And that's how I'm looking at it from the point of view. And then long story short, from doing that, I was able to build connections with, you know, some of the like incubators. One is called Builders and Backers, where now they're supporting my idea of what I'm trying to bring into the marketplace software-wise, just because not only did I break in, but network with people on LinkedIn. I know we talk about it all the time, but people sleep on LinkedIn. And honestly, if it wasn't for LinkedIn and networking with other people there, I wouldn't be connected to those individuals. So now, you know, I'm connected to people who are about 20 plus people who have successful tech startups, and they're doing different systems already. And I'm learning from them directly, all because I built my network and started actually connecting with people on LinkedIn. Because sometimes people get into, you know, like, oh, I broke into tech, I just want to cut the check. I mean, if that's your goal, cool. But if you're trying to do more, the opportunity is there. I'm not saying nobody, I'm saying you could go and collect your check, go home, call it a day, or you could go and say, I want to build something. That opportunity is still there too. So that's, don't just look at it as just for a job, so to speak. If that's not all you want to do, if you want more, it's available. And all you have to do is just break in. That's it.
Bro, that's so real. I love that you mentioned that, because y'all hear me. I'm always flat my gun talking about 6 figures in tech, 6 figures in tech. And yeah, this is a 6-figure career. Most of the roles, at least, are 6-figure careers. But when y'all see certain people like, you know, like myself or like others that I brought onto the podcast, you know, whether we're talking Caleb Burks, whether we're talking, I can go through like a list of different people, but when you see those people that are making anywhere between like 300,000 to a couple people I brought on the podcast are making like they're grossing over $1 million a year just from their job in tech, and especially if they have like equity in the company, it's like you can get to the six figures just by getting in the industry, doing your job, and that's it. But you get to that $500,000 or seven figures by implementing other things and going above and beyond. Now, not everybody needs to get to seven figures. Obviously, I use the 6-figure, 7-figure term as buzzwords, you know, to excite people. But it's like, yo, maybe you don't want to get to 7 figures. Maybe you don't want to increase your tech bag to $250,000, $300,000 a year and invest that money into other things that could really grow and build. Maybe you don't have to do that. I'm not going to be a person that's going to be like, you know, you're a loser if you don't want to do that. Nevertheless, for those of you that do, for those of you that are like, man, how do I build like real money, like real wealth, you know? And obviously we're not talking billions of dollars, but it's like, how do I leverage this tech bag for something greater? What he's talking about is really important in terms of the foundation of that.
Definitely. That would be the main thing. You know, I'll say just because I say I think sometimes people miss out on, you know, here in a boot camp because you have to pay. I mean, you have to pay to play. Honestly, you got to pay to play. That's what I always tell people. At some point in life, you know, you could do the free route, but sometimes it works. People who have the willpower, things of that nature. But some people need that foundation that's already there for you, so you can learn from mistakes. So that way, you're not going in circles. You feel you're ahead, then you can learn from mistakes like myself and other individuals in there. And I think that's the key point in being in something such as like course careers and things of that nature. For me, I would say is learning from others. It's not just, you know, oh, I have to pay $450 and this, and you have to put in the work. Because some people think, oh, yeah, I finished. Now everybody's going to come to me. You know, for some people it might work that way. Some may not. But if you put in the work, it's going to come to you. That's how I see it.
That's good stuff. So I'm curious. So when you started interviewing differently, because you went over the program again, realized adjustments that you needed to make, what were some of the differences that you saw when you made those tweaks?
Yeah, I was just more confident. Like, I felt like I knew the process a lot better and the questions that they were going to ask me now. So I was like, because I went through a few already that I didn't do too well at. And then from there, I felt like, okay, and now I have, you know, they ask you the same questions that usually we mess up on, like, tell me about yourself. Or, you know, if sometimes you want this large, elaborate story, then you lose people. Yes, it sounds cool, but you need to learn how to pinpoint it into any, like, whatever your company you're with, you need to have like your own spiel, so that way you can connect it with the company. And that's one thing that I learned, like, okay, they're gonna you actually tell them about yourself, what do you know about the company, and then in return, show that you did your research. For example, if you're with one of the recruiters, look up them on LinkedIn. Hey, I seen you were here for 2 years. You know, tell me, you know, what drew your interest, you know, to be there? Because think about it, they interview all the time. And at the end of the day, people tend to sound the same. But when you ask different questions, like, oh, snap, he stuck out to me because he saw I like this article and he talked about it, or things of that nature. That's what I did, and I realized that built a better connection with those individuals.
That's super good, bro. That's some good nuggets. So when you actually got hired on the company, why did you really, like, what was your experience like when you actually signed the offer letter, or when the company hired you on and sent you the offer letter?
Yeah, for me, it was interesting. You know, it was something different for me. It was exciting just to see, you know, like the different things with tech, like, you know, the different offers, you know, the different, you know, like, for example, health benefits and, you know, the tech gear. Like, I have so much tech stuff now, and I didn't pay $1 for it just because that's just the industry itself. And then the opportunity to, you know, seeing that, you know, commissions were uncapped, because I said, hey, I know if it's uncapped, I'm going to do my best to actually double what my base is. That's always my goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because it's a strong goal to have, because guess what? If you reach high, if you meet a middle, that's still okay than just reaching for the bare minimum, in my opinion. So yeah, that's what excited me the most.
I love that thought process, because one of the things we talk about, and, you know, I know there's always people here on the live that are very familiar with different people that have been breaking into tech sales, but then there's always new people. And so one of the things that we talk about a lot is how in tech sales, your base pay is actually very high compared to most other industries. You know, usually depending on what role you're in, or depending on like whether you're SDR, BDR versus an account executive, whether you're entry level account executive or mid market or enterprise, it's levels to it. But it's like your base pay, depending on where you're at, could be anywhere from like on the really, really low end, like around 55,000 ish. But there are people that's base pay in tech sales, like your base pay, your guaranteed salary, no matter what, is like up to like $250,000 or $300,000 a year. And I've seen so many people that they're like, man, like I want to be in tech because that base pay. I want to do tech sales because that base pay is so high. And that's dope. I get it. But it's like, yo, if you trying to make some crazy money, don't think so much about the base pay. Look more at what you can make, because that's where you're able to actually do something significant. And so instead of looking at your floor, look to see what your ceiling can be. And of course, like you just mentioned, when you see that you have uncapped commissions on top of that base pay, that's when it's phenomenal. Yeah, Dana. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that in tech sales, like my first job when I broke into tech, and I know a lot of y'all are thinking the same thing what she's saying. When I first broke into tech from Lyft driving to getting into the tech industry with a sales engineering role that had base pay and commission, my first job, my base pay was $72,000. My OTE or on target earnings was $90,000, but it was uncapped commission, and that's why even in my first year, I was on track to do $98,000. But I ended up job hopping to another company, and then they moved my base pay to $100,000, and my OTE was $145,000, uncapped commission, $12,000 sign-on bonus, all that good stuff. And I think that's actually a perfect segue to talk about what you did. So you broke into the industry, you got on at a company, and how long were you at that company before you job hopped?
Four months or so, like 4 months, I want to say.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, just 4 months. And throughout that time, though, I was getting, I was active on LinkedIn. I was getting a lot of DMs from recruiters, and that's kind of what sparked it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm curious. I did a stream a couple days ago where I was showing people different tips and stuff when it comes to LinkedIn. And actually the stream was titled like how to get 6-figure offers on LinkedIn without even having to apply for a job. And I'm curious to know, so you were getting offers on LinkedIn. This is after you already had a job. Usually that doesn't happen with people where they just have a LinkedIn, but their LinkedIn is dormant, like they're not actually utilizing it. So I'm assuming that's the case for you. I could be wrong, but like, was that the case? Like, were you actually, so even after you got your job in tech, were you still using your LinkedIn, posting on it, engaging on it? Like, what was that like after you even got your job in tech?
Yeah, so afterwards, prior to it, I've been using LinkedIn forever. I use that for financial firm. I literally built financial firm off of LinkedIn. So I just knew how to be active on there, and I was still active. Even when I had a role, I'm connecting with recruiters. I'm connecting with people who are tech startup founders, and I'm just commenting on some of the things that they're saying, or I'm seeing where they're commenting at, and I'm posting my own. So that way the name pops up. It's going to. So just think about it. If they're always on there and you're always posting where they're at, by default, you're going to start recognizing, even if you don't know who they are, by default, you're going to start recognizing that name. And that's pretty much what I did. I just, wherever the recruiter's at, I was commenting, adding value to it. I'm not just sitting on the sidelines. Like, I'm actually writing something that showed like, hey, I'm actually reading it. I understand what they're saying, and not just saying, oh, that's great. You have to add some value. And that's what I always tell people, add value. Don't do no generic, just, it might work here and there, but you just actually want to add value. And I know one of the ones was like, why 4 months? It just happened that way. I wasn't looking. I wasn't seeking for anything. It just happened that it was 4 months. And from there, the opportunity presented, and I went with it, you know?
Yeah. And in most industries, but especially the tech industry. So as we all know, inflation, just like natural inflation, specifically here in the US. So I don't know what inflation is like for those of y'all that are in other countries, but in the United States, inflation usually is happening, I believe, somewhere around a 2 to sometimes 6% rate. But unfortunately, most industries, most jobs that you all have, you're actually, even if you get a raise, let's say you get a raise every year, your raise every year is usually somewhere around 1 to 2% of a raise. So inflation is actually making you more poor, even though you get a raise every single year. But the tech industry is a bit different, where the raise you get in the tech industry is usually something like just your natural like annual raise is usually somewhere closer to about a 10% raise every single year. But if you job hop in tech or transition to another company, which is maybe a more professional way of saying it, that's where you actually see an increase of a 20 to 40% jump whenever you make a transition. I went, like, that's how I mentioned my first company. I was there for 5 months, had a bunch of companies reaching out to me, and I presented the offer to my company. And I'm somebody in the Patreon community actually asked this question. They said, what's the key script for job hopping? Can't it be seen as negative? How do you approach an interview with multiple short-term engagements? So I always encourage to not have too many, like, don't just job hop to try to get rich. It's like, definitely, if you want to make more money, let's say you're not making a certain amount of money, you're like, man, I believe I could get paid more, especially you look at the market and you see that you could be getting paid more according to the market. Like, after you job hop once, maybe twice, you definitely want to be strategic. So after you job hop once, at that point, you need to calm down and be like, okay, if I'm going to move to another company, it needs to be for a significant increase and or preferably and be at a company that I really want to be at, that I know that I can be at that company, or at least speculate that I could be at that company, at least for the next couple of years of my life. Because the best window for job hopping, to where companies won't really question you much, again, in the tech industry, where they won't question you, is anywhere between 1 to 2 years. So when people are at a company at least for a year and they job hop in the tech industry, and Shanae, let me know what your thoughts are on this, because we got a couple of tech recruiters that are here in the comments right now.
Looking for a job in tech can be tricky, but what if there's a way to automate the entire process? That's where Octoply.ai comes in. See, this software does all the work it takes for you to get hired, from researching companies to scheduling interviews, and all you have to do is just show up. Octoply.ai is the first application of its kind that will find jobs that you're top applicant for, apply to roles, reformat your resume, and manages interviews all while you sleep. So if you're tired of the tedious job search, try Octoply.ai today and let technology work for you.
Tech companies don't see that as weird if you're at a company at least for a year to 2 years. But it's only when they see multiple times that you've job hopped within under 6 months that it raises a red flag to them, that they're like, oh, this person might only be here for a few months or half a year, maybe a year if we're lucky. But if they see a year to 2 years you sticking at a tech company, to them that's a win, because to them they just think, okay, this person's at least going to be here long enough. If they're going to make us 10 times what we're going to invest into them and what we're going to invest in during the hiring process, and what we're going to pay them throughout the year. So the tech industry right now, the last few years, especially since the pandemic, has become a hotbed for people like job hopping. Obviously, I'm a candidate, or not a candidate, I'm a person who did that as well. But definitely be mindful. That's why I only job hop. Job hop really twice, where I went from Dialpads. I'm not gonna list the companies because I don't want y'all to go crazy and all y'all start applying to these companies. You can look at my LinkedIn if you want to see what companies. I went from Dialpad to another company, and I was at that company for literally 2 months, where I went from $157,000 to $230,000 plus equity and other stuff. So that was, each of my job hops were such a significant increase. It would have been crazy for me to have said no. Nevertheless, when I went to my last role as a sales engineer, I loved the company and I was like, yo, I want to stay here. But of course, I ended up leaving to become a co-founder, and to focus more, like become a co-founder, Technically Black, to be able to do both of those, a co-founder, of course, of a tech company. And so that being said, to the answer to that question, it can be seen as negative if you're doing it too frequently within a very short window of time. So make sure, yes, maybe your first focus will be scaling, making more money, but at some point, and I would say after your second move, if you're going to leave that company for another, unless you really hate the company that you're at, you need to make sure that either the next move is a significant increase, or it's a company that you're confident you will stay at that company for a while. Because yeah, if you're trying to move around too much, it can look really weird. It can come back to bite you. But it's not something you have to worry about your first couple times job hopping. It's really after that you need to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, and Shanae said something in the comments, recruiter cousin. All right, see you, Dana. Thanks for popping in. Her and her husband probably gonna do an ice bath. They've been killing them ice baths. But anyway, Shanae said something in the comments. She said, one of the reasons why candidates job hop is the fear of losing their job, instability, and being disrespected. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if the hiring leader trusts the recruiter, they will listen. That's good. Yeah, and also, y'all, let's be very clear. When we talk about job hopping, one of the methods to do this, the last thing I'm gonna say, one of the things to do is to make sure when another company comes to you with an offer, to take that offer and present it to your company and say, hey, this other company wants me. I would love to stay here. Can you match this? Or like, can you at least match it? And if your company says no, then at that point, you can't feel too bad, depending on your situation, depending on the company, things like that. You can't really feel too bad if you're leaving for like a significant increase, like Jordan's significant increase with the 30% increase. And so what was it, I guess for you, was it the 30% increase alone? Like what was that whole situation like when you made the transition? I know you mentioned that companies are reaching out to you on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So what ended up happening that you said yes to a company, and what did that look like? Because to let people know what it looks like for the whole job hopping process.
Yeah. So, I just, told them, I just being honest at the time, I wasn't really looking, but it made sense because it was technically a competitor. So the main thing is, so it was a competitor. So yeah. I just said something crazy off the wall, and they like, yeah, they just said okay, and then I was like, okay, now I know I have some wiggle room what I wanted if we're going to sit down, because I'm like, there's no need for me to. I'm not really seeking it,
Wait, real quick, when you say you said something crazy off the wall, that's in reference to what? Like what?
Like what I wanted, like the base. I said, this is what I need in order to even have a conversation. And I was just being straight up with them. Yeah. And they said, okay. And I was like, all right. So we met. And then, that's when I told them, like, look, these are certain things I want to do and implement and things of that nature as well, because I knew the industry and some things are working on, and they were on board with it. Everybody was on board with it. So that was probably not necessarily the money. That that's not everything for me at this point in my life. Not to sound arrogant or anything. It's mainly because I have different things I want to learn to be able to build. So that way, it's like learning the skill, so I could take that and do something else with it in the future. Like just learning from people who are successful. That's the main thing, because like I said at the beginning, you have to learn before you earn, because when I wanted to do things before in the tech world, I realized I didn't know much about it. And even though I was in the process of doing something, it wasn't going to pan out how I thought it would, because I don't know the industry. And I need to learn it better. And they gave me the opportunity to learn it more and to be able to scale what I was thinking to the next level. So that's the main reason why I went with them, honestly.
Yeah, that's super good. And y'all, that's a couple key points that he said that I want to point out. One, how he was able to like name his price. He even said he named the price, and I'm paraphrasing, but that was like basically he said something that in his head sounded a bit ridiculous. He was like, I'm gonna just say something crazy in terms of how much I want, and they said yes to it. And again, I mention all the time how, and again, you always want to be respectful. And I'm not saying you weren't. I'm just making sure everybody gets this. You want to make sure you're respectful, you're graceful, you're showing love, appreciation to the recruiter, hiring manager, sourcer that reaches out to you. So I want to be very clear. Don't act bougie where you like, yo, I want this much. Don't talk to me. Don't message me again on LinkedIn unless you offer me this much. Like, don't be like that. Be respectful. Be appreciative. Apart from that, though, like, understand that once you are in the industry, this is why I say this all the time, like when you're in the industry and you've been at a company, even for a few months, you've been performing, things like that, it registers to other tech companies, ooh, this person clearly knows their stuff enough that the company didn't let them go within the first couple months. So that at least registers to them that this person might be a good culture fit and this person knows some of their stuff. So to many companies, it makes them significantly more open to paying you more and listening to you more, respecting you more during those interviews and the interview process. The other thing he mentioned was that it was a competitor company. You actually do get paid a lot more. There are people that go to a competitor and then they go to that competitor's competitor and they jump back and forth because each company will keep paying the person more to take the person away from their competitor. And so, again, not telling people to do this, but just giving y'all insights as to like different things that happen within the industry. And and then there was a third part that I did not think to say, but overall, just wanted to point out to y'all about the power and the benefit of being in this industry and being able to leverage other opportunities once you've been in the industry and you've been performing well and doing well. When you got your offer, though, I'm curious, did you go back to your company and say, hey, like did you go back to them and say, hey, your competitor offered me this? Or did you just say, hey, I'm leaving?
So my initial plan was like, hey, I'm out of here. So I did. And then they wanted to match and we had some conversations, but I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, you know what, after like, it didn't turn out how, it was good. It was a great conversation, but I'm like, they're already offering me all these things. So respectfully, everything, I'm professional. I speak professionally with people, treat people with respect. But I say, hey, they already offering me these things. I'm not going to negotiate down. It's either we come up or you meet. That's where I was at. So from there, they wanted to, and they did last minute. But at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm already like ready to move on at that point.
Yeah.
But still great connections. Anywhere I go, I leave a great imprint. People still reach out to me, still connect with me. And like someone said in the comments, like, even if you do, you still want to have, good relations with people because you never know where they might go in the future. They might start something or do something. So you just don't want to burn, if you can, not to burn anything because in the future, you just never know what people might do because I've seen people already branch off and do their own thing and so you just never know. So I would say respectfully if you can, if it's not impacting your mental health and things of that nature, try to be as respectful as you can because you just never ever know.
Yeah, you really don't. You really don't. And that's good to mention that. And so because this industry is very small. It's a huge industry, but it's like there's a quote that Trick Daddy once said. Trick Daddy's a rapper, where he said, everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows something about it. And of course, he was saying like, yo, everyone knows someone that knows someone that like knows something crazy. They're a crazy person. So he's saying like, be careful who you disrespect or who you try because they might be an innocent person, but they know someone that knows someone that's crazy and that might do something to you. So likewise, in this industry, be mindful of how you treat people, everyone in general, because you never know what someone at your company, your tech company that you're at, they could change careers in the tech industry. They can go from being an SDR, like you meet them as an SDR, BDR, entry-level tech sales role, and you're treating them a certain way, acting a certain way. You're like, you're nobody. What do I care? You don't know what they can end up doing in the industry. And in a couple years, they could be in a position at a company like Microsoft, Meta, whether we're talking big tech companies, or it could be a promising startup that's got a lot of equity. Let's use an example like ChatGPT or OpenAI, where it's a new company, but they have a lot of money right now. You can end up having an opportunity to work at a company like that, but one of the people that are a part of the hiring team or just a part of the org that you might work with could be a former coworker at the company. And I promise y'all, these things happen. That person could say, no, they're not a good fit. I'm telling y'all. And that stuff weighs a lot because these companies are not about to spend tens of thousands of dollars during the hiring process before even paying you. They're spending all of this money just to say yes to you, and then another tens of thousands of dollars during the onboarding process. If somebody in their team or their org says no, don't hire that person, they're gonna say, okay, bet, we're gonna take a word for it and not hire them. So make sure y'all, we're being professional. Realistically, bump doing it for the bag. Like honestly, I would just say like, make sure you as a person, like make sure you're not a toxic person, because even if you can try to do it for the bag to be a good person, if you're genuinely a toxic, if you are actually a toxic person, it's gonna come out one way or another. So really, I would say first examine your heart, examine your interactions. If you're one of those people that likes to gossip and be petty and tear people down and start little drama, be passive aggressive, all of that stuff, y'all know what I say all the time. Please don't get up in this industry and make us look goofy. And I say that straight up. Do not get up in this industry and make us look goofy. Because, you know, as we know, we're never just representing ourselves. We're always representing us. So make sure you're moving a certain way. If you ain't that type of person where you ain't moving properly, all due respect, please don't get in this industry. Please stay doing whatever you're doing, pursuing whatever you're pursuing. Don't let it be this industry so you don't mess up the bag for everybody else. And so, anyway, apart from that, so bro, man, so I love it, dude. And so I'm curious though. One quick question, and then we got to get to these. We got to get to these Q&A because people got a lot of questions. So one quick question, because you mentioned that the company that you left, that they had offered you some stuff. Y'all were talking. I just want to be very real. Did they, in every way, match what the other company was offering you?
Not everything. The main thing, the money is not the issue. The main thing I wanted was implementing the ideas I wanted to put in. That was what I wanted, and that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, at this point in my life, it's not about the money, you know, solely. Of course, no one's working for free. It's just about, I want to set foundations up for the future, not only for myself, but like you mentioned, setting that foundation for everybody else to come through, right?
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to do, and that was my main point that I wanted. I guess they didn't realize that, but that's what I really wanted. It wasn't just the money, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the main. So that's the thing. I just mentioned the money part because that's the only way I was like, all right, I'm gonna have this conversation. It has to do with this, and then it led up to that. But
exactly.
That's the main thing I wanted. What I wanted to do with it, take to another level, not only for myself, but like I said, I want to set foundation up for everybody else that comes through. So in this industry, because it's wide open. Once you get in, you know, I tell people, if you want to do tech sales, cool. Once you get in, say that, you know, start introducing yourself to other people. I'm telling you, once you guys get in, and I couldn't believe how like the opportunities just presented themselves if you're looking for it. You're looking for it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do encourage everybody here, for those of you that haven't seen or didn't watch my stream that I did recently where I was teaching people on how to optimize LinkedIn, you know, so that way you can get, because at one point, the way I was optimizing my LinkedIn, and I wasn't even trying to do this, I just wanted to, for whatever reason, I just felt compelled to like want to like make connections in the industry. And because it was weird for me to be in a space where I was like a very entry level, nobody knew me. It was so weird to me because where I transitioned from, some of y'all know I used to do poetry and I was in the relationship content space. So I felt like, okay, I'm like doing stuff that's impacting people. And when I got in the industry, I was making money, but I felt like, man, I feel like I'm not impacting people right now. And so I started making content just to make connections, and then didn't realize, oh snap, that was gonna bring ridiculous offers to me. So it was at a point where I was getting like 2 offers a day, like every single day, getting like 1 to 3 offers from different tech companies. They were in my DMs like crazy on LinkedIn, all offer me all types of money. It got to the point I just started ignoring my DMs on Instagram. Or not on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I started ignoring my DMs. I was like, bro, because I was trying to focus on my job and not be tempted. But then I ended up meeting somebody at a tech event, and then they ended up enticing me and saying like, come on now, just tell me what you want and we'll give it to you. And so they ended up suckering me in. So that being said, y'all, definitely y'all go back, watch that stream. It's on the Tech is the New Black YouTube channel. Just go to our live videos, because I promise y'all that video is gonna really like impact a lot of you all's career in a huge way. So again, just some free games, something that really help y'all out, help a lot of y'all out in your careers when you get into this industry. Somebody say it goes down the DMs on LinkedIn. That's funny. No, it really does. It really, really does. All right, bro. So let's go ahead and get to these questions again, y'all. We're gonna be answering questions that are in the comment section. For those of y'all that are in the Patreon community that are tuning in, y'all questions do get prioritized. So make sure you're putting your questions in there. Other than that, we're gonna go ahead and get to these questions that people are pre-submitting. And for everybody that's on YouTube and LinkedIn, for this stream, we are only looking at questions from the Patreon community and Instagram. The next time, we're going to be doing it specifically with the LinkedIn and YouTube community. But if y'all want to ask your questions, make sure you pop over to my Instagram, which is I'm Just Cyrus. I mean, y'all see it here if you're looking at the names. I'm Just Cyrus. Pop in, put your question in the question box, and hopefully we'll be able to get to it. All right, so let's move briskly. All right, cool. All right, so the first question, this is an interesting question. The first question, someone said, they said, I did careers and I feel stuck, been applying for 4 months. Should I go to course careers? Any tips? So first, I would say that the problem is not the boot camp that you did, because careers, depending on, I'm assuming you did a sales engineering course, because if you're talking about doing course careers, maybe you're looking to do a tech sales course. I would tell you this, the problem is not the boot camp. The problem is what we mentioned earlier. I'm not sure if you heard what Jordan's was mentioning earlier, what we're talking about. The problem is somewhere in your process when it comes to you applying, reaching out to recruiters, how you're optimizing your LinkedIn. There's something off in your process. So I would say, please DM me. Just give me a thorough breakdown of what you've been doing. Be honest about what you haven't been doing. And and then I'll be able to like respond and go from there. And this is really for anybody. Because there are plenty of people, I want to be very clear, y'all. There are plenty of people that have done course careers where they're like, oh, it's 6-7 months later, I don't have a job. So you're mentioning 4 months. It's people that have done course careers that 6-7 months later. I have a homeboy. He's an associate of mine. He's not like a homeboy, but he's an associate of mine. And he did a boot camp. I think he did course careers. It might have been over a year ago. It was close to a year ago. And he doesn't have a job in tech yet. And that junk blows my mind. And I hit him up. I checked on him. I'm like, bro, do you have a job in tech yet? He's like, nah, bro, not yet. And I know for a fact there's stuff he's not doing. I see him on Instagram all day posting, and I talk about this. I'm like, why the flip are you on Instagram posting all day and all night on a platform that's not paying you any money, and you don't have a job in tech yet? That's crazy to me. That always shows me what you're not doing. Like, you're not really putting the work in. But I digress. We pull back. That being said, it's not the boot camp. It's more than likely something in your process. Now, again, for everybody here, when y'all see, people doing course careers, like on average, I would say that there's probably twice as many people getting tech sales jobs through course careers than there are people getting sales engineering jobs through careers. But the reason for that is because there are about 6 times as many tech sales jobs as sales engineering jobs. So if you're just talking barrier to entry, you really got to be on your stuff to get a sales engineering job. So you really have to take it serious. So realistically, there are people that are doing course careers you still got to put your work in, but they don't have to take it as serious to get a sales engineering job. So that's why. So really, it's something in your system and process. But also the reason why I say you don't need to do course careers. Now, again, if you want to do it, please do it. Go ahead and do it. Same thing. Got discount link in my bio, all that. But the other thing I want to mention to someone who's thinking like this person is that the boot camp with careers, it actually is dual. Like you can actually get a sales engineering or a tech sales job through, again, if you did the sales engineering course with careers, they teach on both. So you can actually get a job doing either. Now, again, if maybe you're somebody, you're like, yo, it hasn't been working for me, whatever. Because I know people that have done course careers that are like, yo, I think I'm gonna go to careers because this isn't working. So I've seen both happen. So, but I'm at least letting you know that, like, don't look so much at the program, because I wouldn't recommend any program if it didn't at least give you the foundation of what you need, because no program is going to give you everything you need top to bottom. It's impossible. Jordans can say that. Every person's came on live can say that. No program is going to give you everything you need, but they make you stand out more as a candidate, and they give you knowledge that you would have never had and understanding you would have never had. And so, and also, y'all, I can't believe I forgot this. There's a company that's actually doing mass hiring right now out here in Miami. Make sure you go back and look at my recent post where I've been talking about the company. They're starting people on average around $107,000 with an optional sign-on bonus, with some of the sign-on bonuses being up to $25,000, equity in the company, opportunity for fast promotion, all of that stuff. Like really, really dope. But the only requirement that the company has told me, and they're doing mass hiring with 3,500 people. So it's crazy. The reason why they're doing this because the city of Miami is incentivizing them because they want more people in Miami for blah, blah, blah. We're not going to get into all that reasons. But anyway, they're incentivizing the company to do this. But the only thing the VP of the company told me is that, hey, it's a requirement for the people to have either done a sales engineering boot camp or a tech sales boot camp for us to like even trust them during the interview process. Now, people have already like, when I talked about this on live, right after the live ended, some people went ahead and applied to the company and got interviews the next day at the company. But then 2 days later, the company messaged me and said, hey, Cyrus, we appreciate how many people came our way. Can you please remind your audience that we only want people that have done a tech boot camp? Because it's easy. Like, think about it, y'all. It's very easy for a company to market, hey, we're paying people 6 figures. Come work for us. Everyone's going to apply. They don't want people to apply. They want the best candidates to apply. And that's why they're requesting people to at least done a tech boot camp. So y'all, for those of y'all that don't have a job yet, definitely look into this company. The only downside, because I'm telling you, this is a crazy opportunity. The only downside is that it is on site. That's it. But $107,000 on average, some people more, some people a little bit less, depending on like, you know, how you interview, what you're able to negotiate. Optional sign-on bonus up to $25,000, equity in the company, promotion fast. This is really a life, because again, this is just you getting in the industry. I promise you, there are going to be a crap ton of millionaires that are going to be created, and they're going to say, oh yeah, it was because I did a boot camp, and I went ahead and started at that company called Kaseya. And so y'all, like, oh, also, please do not apply if you've not done a boot camp. Not only do you make me look bad to the company, but also, if you apply and you don't get an interview or you don't get a job because, again, you didn't do a boot camp, you have to wait 6 more months before they consider you again for another interview. So please, y'all, do not shoot yourself in the foot, because there are a lot of people trying to skip the process, being like, I ain't got to do a boot camp. I'm going to just apply anyway and think you're going to get a job. And not only are you not going to get a job, you ain't even going to be able to apply again for another 6 months plus. So y'all, please stop trying to skip processes. Stop trying to find a shortcut. If you're looking for a shortcut, the shortcut is a boot camp. Like, that's what it's like. This is literally a shortcut. But don't try to find a shortcut to the shortcut to the shortcut to where you end up just cutting yourself out the whole equation. You know, so anyway, super long rant, but I at least want to tell you about that company that's doing mass hiring right now to make sure a lot of y'all are able to get to the bag. But bro, to your point, what do you think? And I went on a long tangent with that, but what do you think? I guess, what are your thoughts on someone saying, hey, I did this boot camp, I did careers, I feel stuck. Should I do course careers instead? And bro, I promise you, I'm not gonna rebuttal you if you disagree with anything I said or if you have a different angle or different point. I really want to hear what you have to say for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, there's a gap missing, because the programs, like, you don't go in there and think they're going to give you every little thing. You know, yeah. I'm not saying they're great. They're both great programs, you know, but you got to remember, you have to put in the work too. A good example, I don't mean to call anybody out. You got to follow instruction. On here, you said, go back to my previous lives. And people are asking, what's the company called? What's the company called? That shows you have to be set on instruction. You got no instruction. You got to move at the speed of light and actually be able to try to do things on your own first. Because a lot of people, you know, I get DMs all the time. I'm like, yo, did you check this YouTube video out? Did you see this out? Oh, no. Look, try to do your own homework first. Yeah. And then from there, you can say, hey, I tried doing this. I tried doing that. Hey, can you help me now? So I think it's not the boot camp. It's, no offense, you got to look in the mirror. Yeah. I'm just being real. Sorry.
No, it really is. It really is us. We really have to look in the mirror. Also, y'all, to the point that he mentioned, another reason why it's desperately important for you to take heed in what he said is because you could get in the industry, but because you're not the type of person like what he mentioned, and again, this is something you can develop. I'm not saying this is a personality trait. If you're not the kind of person that's able to be a self-starter or able to take the information that was given, go and utilize the information, whatever, if you're someone that needs your hand held the entire time, constantly, then you will find yourself like not lasting long in this industry. Because yes, people in this industry are there for you. They give resources, but in this industry, it's not normal in the tech industry for you to be like policed or for people to be like micromanaging you. They expect to give you information and for you to be an adult, go through that information, and then of course come back with other questions. So please, again, y'all, I mean, bump it. I ain't gonna say please. It's really on y'all. I ain't gonna say please, like it's gonna affect my life. But I'm saying this really for y'all. I care about people. Don't think, oh, like, because I even see some people, again, people in the comments, oh, what's the company name? What's the company name? People throwing up the company name. I encourage y'all to watch the stream. I did 2 lives last week with one of the employees of the company. I encourage you to go back and watch those lives because you're thinking, because I even know some of y'all, maybe some of you did a boot camp. And you're like, okay, I did a boot camp. Boom, I just want to know the company name so I can go apply, go ahead, interview. Again, there are 2 free videos of me interviewing the person, y'all. Ain't charged nobody no money. Brought them on, putting y'all on game. 2 free interviews. You can go back and you have free reign to gain the insight, you know, from the company of somebody who's working there. And they talk about the company, talk about the interviewing process, talk about certain things. That's free game for you to prepare you before you even interview. So again, I'm not gonna keep harping on it, but all of that's there is free game. And if somebody fumbles, if you fumble, it's like I don't even feel bad for you. Because again, we're doing this, we're doing this stuff, not getting paid for this. Like even talking about the company is not paying me for helping y'all get hired at the company, by the way. They're not at all. Me bringing the dude on my live 2 times, like they didn't pay me for that. And so I could have charged the company $10,000-$20,000 there's a term, a finder's fee in this industry. It's a finder's fee where it's like, yo, I have a large platform. I'm about to help y'all find a lot of people that have done a boot camp, pay me this money. I didn't do that. I really was like, let me go live. It's a huge opportunity for everybody. And so I want y'all to take advantage of that stuff. All right, next question is in here. All right, what if someone is horrible at sales? Can they still make it big in tech sales? If so, what can someone do to improve their chances? So again, what if someone is horrible at sales? Can they still make it big in tech sales?
Oh yes. I personally think,
I'm gonna let you answer.
Yeah, I personally think you can. You just have to, if you can handle instruction, you know, okay, if I'm messing up, if you can ask people, hey, you know, I'm trying to work on this. That's why boot camp is crucial if you haven't. It's going to help you build that foundation at least. That's why I recommend boot camp, especially if you have no sales experience, you have no connections. It's going to teach you that, right? No, they don't expect you to be perfect off the bat because even when you do take a boot camp, you're going to be ahead of most people who haven't, especially with no experience. They're going to teach you these things, but you have to be open to instruction and be real with yourself. If you know you don't understand something, explain it. You know, and you say, hey, I'm not understanding this. Can you show me how to do it? Hey, you know, how can I get better? And sometimes you have to put in your own time outside of work, which most people don't want to do if you want to get better. I'm just being real. If you want to get better, that's another way to do it as well. You know, there's a lot of resources, you know, to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. Yeah, it's very possible. If you just hate sales and you don't want to do anything sales at all in tech, then I would say don't do something. I always say I don't need to love what I do. Like as long as I don't hate it and I'm getting paid very well. Like as long as I'm like, okay, I'm cool doing this and I'm getting paid very well. Because again, y'all, companies don't hire people because they love you. They hire you because you're gonna make them a lot of money. So one of the biggest tricks, I'm gonna tell y'all this straight up. One of the biggest tricks that corporations have duped people into is the idea of loving your job. Because guess what it's done? It's creating, and I'm here for it. I love a good culture. I love work-life balance, blah, blah, blah. I love all of that stuff. But I'm telling y'all, it was a trick for them to trick us into being like, only do what you love. Because it costs a company a lot less money to make their culture fun and exciting and make you love your job than it costs them to pay you a lot more or pay you a high salary. So understand when people, when you're so caught up, that's when, and no community has been duped more than our community to being like, and that's why a lot of us are broke. Let's be real. I see it's so many of us in our community that are like, yeah, I don't have any money, but I'm chasing my passion. And it's like, yeah, that feels fun until you're 40 and 45 and realize, oh snap, I don't really have any money. And at that point, when you're grown, it's not fun. There's no amount of fun you're having that compensates for you being like broke. And that's how we get duped. So make sure that I went way off. But to the point, make sure that you're not so focused on loving what you're doing and accepting being paid horrible, no matter what you're doing. Make sure that there's at least some balance to where like, yeah, you don't want to hate it, but you at least want to make sure that that it's just okay, but that you're being paid very well. So that way you take that money and you invest it into the things that you actually love and the things you actually care about. That's what really matters. Whether it's a business, whether it's real estate, whether it's like hobbies, whether it's spending time with your family, those are the things that really matter. But if you're a person that hates, like you just hate sales or you hate customer facing roles, then no, tech sales is not for you. It's not for you. But competency wise, as long as you're just competent, you can do it.
Hey y'all, we have some incredible news that I'm super excited about to finally announce our private tech community. Yes, you heard that right. A private tech community exclusively for you all who want more than just the podcast. You want more than just the FAQs. You want to talk with tech recruiters. You want to talk with hiring managers. You want to talk with coaches. You want to talk with people that can help with editing and rewriting your resume. Maybe you're somebody where you just want to be a part of a community where we're talking about updates of what's happening in the software industry. Y'all, this community that we've launched is also going to involve a Discord where we're going to be talking about updates in tech. We're going to be talking about companies that are hiring. We're going to be talking about upcoming tech events. So that way you don't have to miss any of the gems that I know, but not even just what I know, but the gems that friends of mine that are also in the tech industry know as well. So if you want to be a part of that community, go ahead and sign up so that way you can join us. We have a few different tiers. Ultimately, it's all tuned in for you. Oh, and last thing, also within this community, we're going to be streaming all of our interviews with our podcast guests. So instead of you having to wait months to watch the videos later on, you will actually be able to watch the interviews in real time and ask your live questions to those guests. So make sure you join our tech community.
All right, someone asked, if I take a cybersecurity course, how would you advise switching over to sales, to tech sales or sales engineering? Should I still do course careers, or would it be easy transitioning from cybersecurity to tech sales?
Cybersecurity to tech. I mean, that question's up to you. Like, what is your, first and foremost, I think, what is your end game? That's number one. Like, what is your end game? Are you in it for money, or are you, like, what are you really trying to do? Because, for some people, if you're technical, that might be for you, right? Cybersecurity. But are you, what is it about? That's what you have to ask yourself. What is that? Why do you want to get into tech? Tech sales? Like, why do you want to transition? That's the question you have to really think about. What is it that you want? Because with cybersecurity, it depends on what do you want. Is it work-life balance? Is it more money? Like I said, is it room for growth? Like, I feel like that's something you have to think about first. Because I personally can't tell you how that transition is going to be because I've never done it. I think you can do it because they said, hey, I want more flexibility, because it all depends on the company as well.
I think I might have read the question wrong or didn't emphasize certain parts. So the question wasn't really, they're saying that if they take a cybersecurity course, could they switch over to tech sales? So look, I'm gonna tell you this: tech sales and cybersecurity are entirely different worlds. Cybersecurity is a non-customer facing role. You're working behind the scenes. Tech sales is a customer facing role. You're not working behind the scenes. Cybersecurity, you could be having more breaks during the day because it's non-customer facing role. You usually are working in sprints, meaning you have a deadline. So meaning you can choose when you finish that assignment. Maybe you take the whole day off, whereas a tech salesperson has to work Monday through Friday. They're not usually working Saturday or Sunday unless they're trying to work on some stuff behind the scenes. But usually a cybersecurity person, they're able to kind of choose. And again, there are a lot of different roles in cybersecurity, y'all. I want to be very clear. Just like in tech sales, there are different roles. So we're not speaking about a job when we say tech sales. We're not speaking about a job when we say cybersecurity. We're speaking about sub-industries within the tech industry. That being said, if you do a cybersecurity boot camp and you show up to a tech sales interview, or you show up applying for a tech sales job, they're going to look like, are you crazy? Like, it has no correlation, like no correlation at all whatsoever. Like, the roles don't correlate. And not only do they not correlate, again, one is a customer facing role, one is a non-customer facing role. So not only are they different jobs, but it's like there's no connective tissue at all. So the only thing I would say is, if you are in cybersecurity and you want to transition to tech sales and you don't want to do a boot camp, then you're going to need to transition within your company. You're going to need to see if there's an opening with your company, but your company is still going to make you interview. You're still going to have to prove yourself. There's a lot you're going to have to do. But if you're talking about jumping out there and applying, so I would say this, because you said, if I take a cybersecurity course, if you want to do tech sales, don't take a cybersecurity course, do a tech sales course. Now, if vice versa, for those who want to do tech sales, we might think about transition to cybersecurity. Also, if the reason why you're asking this question is because, you know, you're looking into cybersecurity courses, a couple boot camps that I recommend, same thing, link in my bio, teach cybersecurity, and they offer job placement as well. And of course, as always, there's a discount for that boot camp. But no, you can't make that transition. That won't work. Yeah. How to break into tech sales in the USA as a European passport holder. Y'all actually are asking some pretty heavy-hitting questions. Usually the questions are like very like simple. Y'all coming with it.
I guess it depends on the company, I would say, sorry, because I've seen some companies who are, depends on your status, like what card you hold. I'm not too educated on that aspect, but I've seen it to where, some companies might hire in this country, but if you're trying to come here, it just depends on the company and how they're doing. Because this one thing you guys have to remember too, not just for remote, not all companies hire everywhere, even within the United States as well. So that's something you'd have to ask either the recruiter and the company itself when you're going through that process. Like, how do they do it? Because like I said, every company is different. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it would be company by company. It would vary company to company. But if you're trying to do tech sales, so first off, if you're European, then there are a lot of European tech companies, and there are US tech companies where you can live in Europe, get a job at the company, because the companies, when we're talking about customer facing roles like tech sales, they hire you usually based on the region that you live in, because they need someone that's working those hours. So how in LA right now, LA is 3 hours before, I'm in Miami. LA is 3 hours ahead of me right now, or 3 hours behind me rather. So it's 9:21 here in Miami. It's 6:21 in LA. There are tech companies that wouldn't hire someone that lives here in Miami, because in that moment, they're hiring people that are West Coast people. They're hiring West Coast sales engineers or West Coast tech sales people. And there are other companies that want to hire for East Coast time zone. So you could get on at a tech company where they need someone that works in, and I don't know the time zones for Europe. Nevertheless, like, there are plenty of tech companies. Every tech company I've worked at, there has been a time zone that they needed that was specific for people that were in the different time zones that landed in Europe. And so Europe and I think Africa is like certain parts of Africa as well, is I think they overlap together time zone wise. So you could get a US tech job while living in Europe. But if you mean you be here in the US, and let's say you're here in Miami and you're trying to get like a East Coast time zone type of job, but you don't have an extended visa, or you don't have, like, you're not working on your US citizenship, no, you're going to be very low on the totem pole with that company in terms of the people that they're interviewing. All right, we'll get to a couple more questions, and then I'm going to let my guests go. Okay, looks like a couple people here are immigrants. All right, so we break out of Listen and refresh it. I know y'all sent us some new questions. Okay, cool. Question: can you touch on the cons of being in tech? Can they still make it big in tech sales? Wait, what does it mean? Can they still make it? Oh, no. Okay, I asked two different questions. All right, so can you touch on the cons of being in tech? I came across a YouTuber that was speaking on how tiring it could be with having high energy all the time. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
It just depends on your company. Like, some of the cons, you have to talk to people. You may have to make phone calls. Some companies are phone call heavy. Some are email. Some of them let you flexible. You could decide, hey, if you're good on LinkedIn and emails and you're getting appointments up to there, then it works. Some they say, hey, you got to make X amount and do this. So it just depends on, I said that'll be the con because some people are afraid to make, cold calls or email. So it just depends on what you prefer. And even if you're a person that say, hey, I'm a little iffy about making cold calls. If that's not what you want to do, then you look at inbound. Because some companies hire inbound SEO, which means it's more warm. Like somebody might come in on a chat box and ask a question, or somebody might call the company. So that'll be the con. Cold calls, learning a new product. I guess for some people depends on how difficult it might be. So those are the main things I see for people. A lot of people are scared to make calls. That's what I would say is primary cons, I would say.
I agree. Yeah, and if someone says that it's tiring, I do agree. I would feel like, especially as a sales engineer, I would feel very tired at the end of the day. Even though I was working from home, sitting in my home office chair, I would get up yo, I feel tired. But it was very mentally tiring, where I was like, yo, because I did have to operate at a high level mentally the entire time, but it felt rewarding to me because for me, I could feel my brain expanding. I could feel myself becoming smarter. I could feel myself being able to talk faster, think faster. And for me, I was like, yo, I've never felt my brain being stretched like this. And it wasn't that anything I was saying or doing was complicated. It was just there were different pieces that I was having to do and think about during the calls with customers. And I'm going to tell you, I knew for a fact, I was like, yo, I'm going to become very successful because when your brain, if any of you, I'm not sure how many of you are ever around like people that are millionaires. And even now I know this because half of my friends now are millionaires. They are all very energetic. It's honestly a bit overwhelming when you're around a lot of people that are millionaires, especially if they're millionaires and they're young. It could actually feel overwhelming to you because most of them talk really fast. They're very high level. It's a lot going on. And I learned very quickly that the same thing that we look at sometimes, we think man, that's exhausting mental work. It's you have to remember the brain is a muscle. So just like if you look at someone doing a workout and the workout they're doing, y'all know we see these videos on social media where a person's doing this crazy intense workout and it's yo, that's crazy. I could not do all of that. And it's well, you could, but it would take conditioning. You would have to start getting trained. You have to start doing that type of work. And then you can find yourself doing those high intensity workouts. Likewise is mental. So if you are a person, you're not going to find many people that are hyper successful consistently where they're not a high level thinker or there's not a lot processing at the time. So I do encourage you. If you don't want to do that, again, 100% fine. I'm not going to bash anybody and say something's wrong with you if you don't want to do that. But I promise you, you will realize that just like your muscles, that the more your brain is mentally fatigued because you're thinking and operating on a high level while working, you'll notice that will benefit you to do other things. Keep in mind, y'all notice, that's why I talk about okay, I got in tech, $90,000. Then I went to a company, $157,000, started helping people get in tech, started working with tech companies. And then I realized I need to create a podcast from this. I need to hire this person, hire that person, do this, do that. I need to start doing tech events, need to start networking. I literally went from within 2 years ago, I want y'all to be very clear, 2 years ago to this day, I was not in tech yet. Now, and I say this humbly and thankfully, now I gross, keyword gross, I gross about 1.4 million a year. And I promise promise you, the thing that did that was my brain being stretched by being in the tech industry and by being and having to operate at a high level. It stretched my brain to where I was able to think differently in other areas. So don't be afraid of your brain being fatigued. That's really a blessing. Because if you're a warehouse worker, or if you work at Walmart, or, you know, I'll be very real. And I say this respectfully, like to anybody, what you do, even if you're in certain industries where, I'm gonna say, like, if you're like a realtor, where it's like your job every day is, for the most part, kind of the same thing. It changes, but for the most part, you have to know the laws, certain rules, certain regulations. Yeah, those things might change with time. But once you know it, that's for the most part kind of it. Now it's really just meeting different people, different personalities. Yeah, you gotta have to learn how to market. You gotta learn how to like close deals and sales and stuff. But it's like whatever industry you're in, if you're in an industry where you're not having to be forced to have like these crazy conversations or getting thrown curveball questions, like what you get specifically in tech sales or sales engineering, then it's like, man, you're missing out on an opportunity for your brain to be stretched in an incredible way that'll cause you to be able to think in different scenarios, like in just like a very like high level, fast pace. So, and again, these aren't the only industries. There's other industries where this, what I'm saying, relates to as well. But understand that it's not a downside when your brain is stretched. It's actually a benefit. It's an opportunity. And again, it doesn't apply for everybody. Everybody doesn't want to do that. Totally cool, 100%. But just don't be afraid of that. All right, someone asked me specifically to answer their question. I want to make sure that I don't miss that. And I cannot see, the person said it a little bit earlier, and I cannot see. So let me just go through these questions real quick, see if I can see them. But all right, I cannot see the person's question where they said for me to answer their question. So I will say this, please DM me. If it's a question specific for Jordan, message him. If it's a question for me, message me. I promise you I'll answer. Or if it's for both of us, shoot, message both of us. Either way works. But again, y'all, like, bro, this was so good. So, bro, I definitely want to like give you the floor for anything that you didn't have the opportunity to share. And because I definitely want you to like drop any nuggets in here that you want to share with the people, maybe based on questions you're hearing or comments you saw, or just something that you're thinking about that's like on your heart.
Yeah, I would say, getting attacked, there's a point where, we might overconsume our brains with a lot of stuff, looking at all these different types of YouTubes and all those different things. But at some point, you have to take action because there's so much videos you can watch, so much of nothing's going to be perfect to the T, right? Sometimes you just have to go out and just do it.
Yeah.
Do it, you learn. And if it didn't work out, guess what? You learn a skill, you learn a muscle. That's one thing I would challenge you because I get a lot of DM. I'm not saying I get it. You have questions, but at some point in time, you just have to just jump and just do it. There's never gonna be the perfect opportunity. I know people are looking the market, this and that. I watched this video. Just do it. Focus on your direction. Stop trying to look at what Cyrus did, what I did, what this person did. And if you focus on whatever you're trying to do, it's gonna come together. That's one thing I'll leave you guys with. And also try to do your own research first. I'm not saying you can't ask questions, but try to find that so that way people are able to have better conversations with you. So that way you're like, okay, I tried this, I didn't do this correctly.
Yeah.
So that way it's a lot easier to have conversations instead of like generic things that you could have picked up on the video or picked up on last thing. It's okay to ask questions. I just want you guys to realize once you're in tech, like you said, you're going to stretch your brain where you're going to have deeper level thinking, which you're going to if are not already. And that's what I would say for you guys, leave you guys with that. And I would say, don't be scared. If you guys have questions, like Cyrus said, DM me, LinkedIn, whatever, I do answer the questions. So that's what I'll leave you guys with today. And I would say, thank you for having me on today, Cyrus. Appreciate it.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for being on, man. And yeah, to his point, I have FAQs in my bio where I answer the majority of questions that usually people send in. So make sure that, and again, y'all, for everybody that's been on YouTube and on LinkedIn, I see y'all sent in a lot of questions. I appreciate it. but you will need to DM me these questions, or really you have to DM me these questions. Because again, this stream that we did specifically was I was allowing everybody from LinkedIn and YouTube to tune in, but it was dedicated to the Instagram and the Patreon community. The next one will be the opposite. We'll allow the Instagram community to tune in, but it will be dedicated to only answer questions from the LinkedIn, YouTube community, and the Patreon community. And so, so please DM me your questions though. So your question for everybody, if your question did not get answered, DM me the question. I have FAQs in my bio. If it's a question that's answered in my FAQs, then I will mention, hey, this is answered in FAQs. So that way you'll be able to kind of get like a more fleshed out, thorough answer. If it's a unique question, then I'll go ahead and just answer it for you right away, right there. But other than that, definitely you check out the link in my bio, whether you want a discount to the boot camp he did, or if you want to, or if you're interested in a different type of job in tech, whether it's cybersecurity, project management, product management, UX design, data analyst, cybersecurity, sales engineering, manual QA, the list goes on and on. Connected with a bunch of different boot camps that are offering discounts for you to be able to get into tech during any one of those roles. FAQs are there for you. For people that didn't get to watch the stream that I did last week, again, go to my YouTube, look at the live videos, and you'll be able to see the streams from those interviews. If there's anything you don't see, I will say this. If you're looking for a video and you can't find it, DM me, and I'll be okay, bet. I'll send you a link over to the video so that way you can look at it. Free game to help y'all break into the tech industry. Apart from that, love y'all. Grace and peace. Appreciate you, Jordan, for coming on.
I appreciate it. Take care.
All right, bro. All right, peace.